lot of debate on what was actually lurking out in the woods that night, and due to the creature's strange figure, I am honestly stumped on an explanation.
Well, moral of the story is don't be brave, people. Do what I do. Scream and run in the opposite direction.
I am not one to have a great memory. Most things from my childhood I tend to forget, but this little event I could never forget. So it starts off in Texas at a relative's farm at least 14 years back during the summer. My family and I were starting to move, and since my brother and I were kind of small and not exactly helpful with moving stuff like furniture, we had to stay with our aunt, who was my dad's sister, and my uncle, who recently married my aunt and their son. I was around 6 years old and my cousin was 12. My brother was 14. The three of us used to help out with many of the animals that were at the farm just to waste time. But whenever our aunt and uncle say they didn't need our help, we would run off and do our own thing, which in other words meant going out with our slingshots. This one day our uncle told us that we could stay out as late as we wanted, so this meant we didn't have to come back before sundown like we usually did. The three of us, my cousin, my brother, and I, decided that we were going to go out as far as we possibly could from that farm and practice with our flimsy slingshots. Looking back at this, it's kind of funny how the three of us thought we could get anything and everything with a rickety slingshot. After a couple of hours of not finding anything, and being at least a mile or two from the farm, we decided to go back. On the way back, we saw what we all thought was a coyote on the way back near the chicken pen. Seeing that it would take a long time to grab our uncle, the three of us with our flimsy slingshots tried to take care of it. Big mistake. The coyote turned around and started to slowly walk at us. The closer it got, the bigger it seemed to get, and soon we realized that it was not a coyote, but some sort of creature with some long wire-like hair ran all over its face. It was out of nowhere. My brother dropped his slingshot, grabbed me, and started bolting towards the house with our cousin following behind, screaming at us to run. I can't remember how long it took us to actually make it inside that house, but I was so happy to make it inside. Whatever that thing was, it stayed outside watching us. It wasn't until our aunt saw it outside did it leave. My aunt thought it was just a coyote, but my cousin was sure it was a skinwalker. Our uncle sided with him on whatever it was. My uncle was a Navajo and didn't joke about this stuff, but my brother, my aunt, and I weren't. My cousin, who grew up learning about these legends, kept telling him that it was a skinwalker until he was bawling his eyes out. Our uncle decided to believe him and fortify that house the best he could that night. The next day, we went outside and found all the chickens torn apart outside of their pens. My parents came that same day to pick up my brother and I, mainly because our uncle was calling them frantically and they worried about our safety. I rarely keep in touch with those relatives anymore due to my family moving all those years ago, and whenever I do, we never bring up the incident anymore, out of fear that it may have actually been a skinwalker.
Number 12. When I was 20 years old and my brother was 15, our parents were out of town. My brother had some friends over one night. As I walked out of the door to pick up food, I overheard them talking about the supernatural. What I didn't know was one of them had brought over a spirit board. While I was gone, they decided to call on the spirit. My little cousin Emily, who was one.
Great edge.
Special sauce and flame grilled Aussie beef. Think you can handle it?
Fuck off to a dog edge.
For a limited time at Hungry Jack's, the burgers are
Fuck through water.
Around 4 or 5 at the time screamed and began blabbering about the dark man over Leela. Needless to say, everyone now tells anyone I bring home about the time I saw the Reaper.
Number 3. This is a couple of stories from when I was alone in a house down the street from where I live now. 1. I was home alone for the afternoon one summer day. It was towards the end of summer, so I was being lazy and watching TV in the living room. My parents were out somewhere and my brother was at a friend's. I kept getting paranoid a bit as I was only 15 at the time. I constantly checked out the windows and made sure the doors were locked as I kept getting a feeling I was being watched. Then the noises began. I kept hearing thumps in the attic, and I got scared as the only way to the attic was through my closet in my room. As it only had a cover lid for it, I sat on the couch and tried to ignore the sounds. After a while, it stopped, but then I started to hear talking in the back room of the house. The weird part is, no one was home. I put the TV on mute, and it sounded like a male and female. So I got up and slowly went to the back room to check, only to find no one there. By then, I was really scared. I ran to the living room and curled up, sitting there in complete silence, as I didn't know what to do. It was alright for a minute, until I jumped by the sound of 3 knocks on the front door, only 5 feet from my left. I reluctantly went to check through the peephole to find no one at the door or down the street. I immediately called my parents after that, and they arrived an hour later. 2. It was late at night in the same old house. Me and my brother were alone for the night. When my parents went out to eat, during the night, everything went as normal. But then I noticed things moving on their own. The washer would have its lid open right after I closed it. The keys would move, and clothes would go missing. The scariest thing happened that night. As I was going to bed, I looked outside my doorway to see a figure that appeared to be a shadow person standing there. I hid in my covers, and ever since then, I always sleep with my door closed at night.
Number 2. So about 3 weeks ago, I started having these strange dreams, often involving little things happening in a different order than usual. It started off pretty normal. My school bus came down my street from an abnormal direction. For some reason, it stuck with me. The dreams were kind of, a strange man stood up, and the bus flipped. Before I woke up, he kept repeating a name. I didn't understand it. When I woke up, my mom was calling me, and I stepped outside of the classroom, so I had to answer. My mother informed me that my estranged father had passed. She sent me a link of the obituary. There was a picture of the strange man. Was it some kind of intuition, or my mind playing tricks on me? After that, the dream stopped. I still haven't figured out what the last thing he said was. I guess I'll never know. Number 1. My name is Valentine, and I live in Windsor, Ontario. This is a horrific story that happened to me, and I'm willing to share it with you. I feel I need to get this out, so here it goes. This story happened about a decade ago. My mom was acquainted with this weird but nice guy named Michael. They would often hang out, and she introduced me to him at some point. I noticed the creepy vibes when I was around him, but as I got to know him more, I really didn't care. He even got me a real dream catcher, as I was into that kind of stuff, and it's got me to respect him. However, there was this one day my mom was at her friend's house, and I was home alone. Michael was driving a minivan and pulled up to the driveway and started honking his horn for my mom. I went outside to tell him that she wasn't home. He grinned at me. He grinned like he was going to get what he wanted. Well, I think he did because he asked me if I wanted to go get some ice cream. And I, being a little kid, didn't know better. I said yes. He told me to hop on in. I got in and we drove down to this place called Dairy Delight. To be fair, we actually did get ice cream, but the car ride back was just weird. We started driving in a direction I wasn't familiar with. I asked him where we were going. His response was, "We're going to see your mom." He said that with a dark smile on his face. But that didn't make any sense. My mom was busy during this day, and there's no way she would have been able to be picked up by this guy. I started feeling a pain punch in my stomach. I nervously said, "Maybe we should go back to my house." And he turned back to me and glared. After glaring at me for about 5 or 10 seconds, he said in a very dark tone, "No." I noticed he was pulling over, and there was a guy standing on the road with his thumb out. Michael pulled over and told him that he would drive him to wherever he was headed. The guy got in the van, and we drove off in what felt like a hurry. For the record, I was in the back seat. Michael and this guy both smiled and looked at each other, then at me. This guy was messy, wearing a stained green shirt and cuts on his pants. The two were talking back and forth to each other about stuff I don't even remember, but they seemed to be getting along like they knew each other. I already could tell that Michael knew this guy. He wasn't a hitchhiker. I was scared out of my mind. I wanted to go home. I failed to notice this earlier, but in the way back of Michael's van, there were pictures. What scared me straight was one of the pictures was of me. It looked like it was me walking home from school. I finally realized what Michael's true colors were. I started crying and screaming for someone to help me, and the two up front started laughing at me. I saw a wrench that was on the floor of Michael's van. I quickly thought of what I had to do. I picked up the wrench and swung the van window open and screamed for my life. The hitchhiker tried grabbing me, but I chumped on his hand and he let out the most horrific scream I've ever heard. Michael slammed on the brakes and I jumped out. The van didn't move an inch while I was running away. I was able to get help from a nearby pedestrian, and she helped me to my place where we called my mom and the cops. Turns out Michael had spent time behind bars for what he had done to other children. My mom rushed home when she heard the news. She was mad at me for going with him, but she was very happy I was safe and cried while holding me. Michael was found at his sketchy apartment and was arrested later that day. Unfortunately, they never found the guy he picked up. I don't know where Michael is today, but I hope he's rotting behind bars for other reasons because no kid should have to go through that again.
Yeah, they got the money, mom. She has sprung up a chunk. Paleta de coco. Yeah. Juanita, are you running from la migra? Hope you never get deported from beside me. My viejita, the barrio needs ya. You make the best of my giggles. Girl, I love you and your eyebrows. Hope you never get deported from beside me. My cholita, moco needs ya. You make the best of my Look, when we met, I was fresh up out of juvie. You took a bullet for me. Your brother tried to shoot me. The way you wear your dickies, your flannels always popping. You always say you're pregnant. You really gotta stop that. And when we do a drive-by, your aim is always perfect. I took you to the swampy. Why not just girl, you earned them. And when you stabbed your ex, he's a snitch. He deserved it. You banged the whole hood and them taxes confirm it. Neighborhood skunk out. I buy you choco meat, but you like Coronas. Roll burritos with your feet. You're a special chola. I'll hide your ass in trunk. Don't you worry. Juanita, are you running from la migra? Hope you never get deported from beside me. My viejita, the barrio needs ya. You make the best of my giggles. Girl, I love you and your eyebrows. Hope you never get deported from beside me. My cholita, moco needs ya. You make the best of my Maria, are you running from la migra? Hope you never get deported from beside me. My viejita, the barrio needs ya. You make the best of my leruga. Girl, I love you and your eyebrows. Hope you never get deported from beside me. My cholita, moco needs ya. You make the best of my
Dad! Moco! Come help! Now my dad's gonna fuck you up! Moco, come help me! Come here, Moco! I thought we were running time together! I gave you the money! That's my stuff. She's hella pretty.
Shit, she's not prettier than you, Aina. Your eyebrows are hella sexy.
You think? I mean, it did take me 2 hours to do them.
Man, what a waste of time.
Well,
No, I mean, like, they're cool and shit. I like them. I think they're sexy. Cute. Hey, check this out, though. My date stood me up, all rude and shit. I was thinking, like, you walking up to my front yard unexpectedly, it's like fate, you know? It's like a miracle. Like some shit on Rosa de Guadalupe or something, you know?
anyway, do you want to take me to go eat something else?
I got something better than tacos, Aina. Got a nice long elote for you. Extra mayonnaise. What, for real? Damn. Hey, Aina, what's your name?
Maria.
Maria.
What the fuck are we looking at?
Shut up, bitch. Room in the moment. Look up. By the way, Aina, I wrote you a song. Maria, are you running from la migra? Hope you never get deported from beside me. My viejita, the barrio needs ya. You make the best of my aleluya. Girl, I love you and your eyebrows. Hope you never get deported from beside me. My cholita, moco needs ya. You make the best of my aleluya. Too fast, chola, eating tres leches cake. Tres leches cake. Tres leches cake. They got some stupid eyebrows drawn on their face. Drawn on their face. Drawn on their face. I'll show her how this TV works. Forget novelas and chill. Make your own hot skirt, baby. Muévelo, muévelo, muévelo. Pasito por aquí, pasito por allá. La lonjita por aquí y la chichi por allá. Cholo por aquí, una chola por allá. Acá por aquí, acá por allá. Elote. Damn, Moco, with the sick ass tagging skills, dog. Damn, Moco, with the community service, dog. Back at it again, Moco, with the long yellow there, fool. Damn, Moco, with the lowrider, dog. Started from the border, now we're here. Started from the border, man, my whole family fucking here. Started from the border, now we're here. Started from the border, man, Royote brought me here. Started from the border, now we're here. Now we're here, puto. Started from the border, man, my whole family is here. Started from the border, now we're here. I ain't here, puto. Started from the border, man, my whole family fucking here. I represent the raza from the jump. We're riding 12 deep with a bulldog in the trunk, homie. Trying to make us feria on our own. Pula, homie. Selling lotes all day and we're moaning hella long. The gringos calling me a way back. But they need used tires, so they hit me up for that, homie. I like black beans in my bowl. Now I got a job with my cousin Social.
Hello, is anybody here?
Nina, can I do for you?
Well, what's good to eat?
Or there's a super menu with an extra large chorizo burrito if you want to come in the back. I'll show you.
No, thank you. Anything else?
Check this out, man. See, we got a couple tacos and then back to my mom's house. I mean, she's there right now, but I got a lock on my door, so that's right.
I'll pass on that too.
Hey, man. Hey, can I order a taco or something? Oh, fuck up, homie. We're closed. Fucking go to Taco Bell or something. Hey, so, did you order?
No, I already like this one.
Hey, taco face. Toilet duty.
Oh, again?
That's great, loco. It's like a plaster on there. I have to be careful. Wear a mask.
What?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm the owner of this place.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
You know that song by the Fiddleman? It's one of my greatest hits.
Really?
Women love it.
Never heard of it.
Sometimes I don't like to take credit for it, but it's really good. I can show you the world. Want to meet me in the hallway?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I look different without my turkey tattoo drawn on. Fuck, man.
Hey, man, I still want that taco.
Fuck, stupid ass, the fuck out of here. We started from the border, now we here. Now we here, homie. Started from the border, man, my whole family fucking here. Started from the border, now we here. I ain't here. Started from the border, man, my Uncle Paco's finally here. Started from the border, now I'm here. Suck, deal. Started from the border, man, my whole family fucking here. Started from the border, now we here. Hit the police on me. Yeah, estamos aquí,
People
puto.
love to tell stories about the border. Took a picture with the meat, I said, tamarind soda. And I know you see me crossing on the news. Cross that bitch so fly, I ain't mean to spill my shoes. But okay to pour the salt, and it's true. Reported my cousin back the next day. Just as a reminder to my haters. Hey, Philly Brown, April 19, I'm coming to your theater. Puto started from the border, now we're here. Started from the border, now the whole fam fucking here. Started from the border, now we're here. I'm here, puto. Started from the border, now my primos and my tios here. Started from the border, now we're here, puto. Started from the border, now the whole fam fucking here. Started from the border, now we're here, puto. Started from the border, now my tia and my tios here.
No policia, homie, we don't feel that. Fuck a big wall, homie, we can jump that. Hey, dog. You ever had a threesome? By yourself?
What the fuck, fool? Damn, fool. Anybody tell you like the dude on the Rice Krispies box?
Damn, homie.
Hey, dog. If it costs 80 cents to feed those kids in Africa, then why is child support so expensive, homie? Damn, dog. You should be in college.
Hey, dog. If your parents tell you don't talk to strangers, how you supposed to meet new friends?
Pass that shit, homie. You had enough, dog.
Some good shit, homie.
Hey, what you see this shit I got from Mexico, dog?
Open fucking payment. They thought it was real.
This is a fucking big ass point dog. Johnny Green Johnny here, dog. Chapo gave me this shit, homie. Personally, homie. Hey, Moco, spark this shit up, dog. Shit like a fucking dinosaur blunt, homie.
Mighty Morphin Cholo time, fool. Hit that shit, homie. Pop, suck, fool. Pop, suck it, dog.
Take this shit back, Goggles. It's too strong. Hey, Moco, I don't think I'm gonna hit this shit, fool, cause you look a little fucked up, dog.
Damn, dog, I got the munchies, homie.
Hey, Goggles, you look like you fucked more than McDonald's, homie. Hey, Moco, dog, I think you need to go to the hospital for you, alright? You're a sack of bitch.
Your eyes are hella red, fool. You don't look too good, your fucking eyes, dog. Don't let it get to you, shake it off, fool. Sit down, homie.
Oh, his fingers smell like dick, dog.
Well,
Hey, Moco, you're acting weird, dog. Hey, you still want that haircut or what, fool?
Nah, dog.
What's wrong with you, dog? You acting like you don't know me or some shit. Well, anyways, homie, I'm gonna go clock in, dog. It's my first day working at McDonald's, dog. I can't be late. Later, Moco. Abrazo, you fat, bro.
Peace out, bitch.
hey, Moco. Hey, fuck that fool dog, dog. That's jungle.
Hey, Moco, I got just the thing for you, dog. Eat these, fool. They'll help you sober up. Eat this shit, fool.
Damn, dog. You got some milk with this shit, homie? It's kind of dry, dog. I'm just gonna get some fresh air. Go get something to eat with my homeboy. Ooh. This fool standing right next to me, dog.
What's up, nigga? Fat fuck? Hey, let's go get some enchiladas and hit this party, dog. Walk around and chill shit. I'm a spider, homie.
Who's buddy, dog?
You fucking tripping, homie. Your mom should have got some prenatal care, fool.
What?
Get the fuck out of here, dog.
Alright, dog. Fuck this fat fool, Moco.
Clean some of this shit around your dog for a while. What against when she ain't tripping, dog?
Yeah, clean all this shit up. Fuck you up. Bitch. Wait, Moco. Ow. Homie, you done threw me in the popcorn.
Hey, thanks for the beer, homie. Appreciate it, dog. You know, it's boiling hot.
Yeah, I found that in the garbage can.
Shit, hold on, dog.
Ow. What the fuck?
I put the payaso in the house, homie.
Hell no, payaso. I hate that fool, dog. Wait, who's payaso?
He's about to fuck my baby mom. Him and all his homies ran a train on that bitch. Then they Snapchatted me about it.
What a hoe.
You know what the worst part is, dog?
Huh.
They didn't even follow me back.
Damn, that's fucked up, Moco. One thing to bang the mother of your kids, but now when you bang on Snapchat, you cross the line, homie.
You ready to ride on these fools?
Fuck yeah, I'm gonna that you never had, homie. I'm gonna ride on these fucking levels like, yeah!
I was ready to get my revenge, homies.
Pick up my kids so much that my homies know.
Shut the fuck up.
West side till I die, homie. What's up now, homie? Dog life, baby. Uncle, get the fuck out of here. Have a nice nap. Should've followed him on Snapchat. Uncle, this is gonna be crazy. Fuck this cat can, homie. Damn, Uncle, you're deep. Hurry, dog. I think the cashier's got a gun. Oh, fuck, dog. Hurry up, fool. Hey, where you going? Let's just go ahead. I'll meet you in a bit. Hey, let's get a hot license. Hey, you, idiot with the broom. Check this out. That's my ass. Damn, what's that smell? Damn, you got a nice ass. Get out of here, Uncle. I'm breaking in the house.
Shit, homie.
Fuck yeah, dog. Wait, Uncle. Isn't that your house? I'm a fucking artist, homie. Bottles. What's going on, dog?
Oh, shit. Come on. Be
What?
cool, homie.
Oh shit, you fucking serious, dog? I got a warrant. Are you fucking crazy?
How's it going tonight?
Terrible.
Going, sir? Do you have any idea why I pulled you over tonight? Could be because I got a tail light out. Oh. Oh, I got it, homie. It's because I did a drive-by earlier.
Rick Beato released a video entitled Why Record Labels Still Suck. In this vlog, he talks about another video of his that was taken down recently because he played snippets of famous jazz recordings in it. He was using these minute-long snippets in order to educate his audience on how to listen to jazz, what to pay attention to within the recordings in order to fully appreciate the genre more. This is how I learned how to play jazz, and how most people learn how to play. You listen to recordings, and then you have somebody tell you what to pay attention to in those recordings. I remember sitting there and having my high school bass teacher explain to me what I was hearing when I was listening to Kind of Blue, especially the first recording of So What, when we could hear the difference between Miles Davis's solo versus Coltrane's solo versus Cannonball Adderley's solo versus Bill Evans' solo. This sort of thing will never happen in online music education. And it's not for any sort of technical reason, it's purely because we are prevented from playing recordings for the purposes of education. And not for legal reasons either, at least in the United States, because playing versions of recordings for the purpose of education, commentary, and criticism is protected under the doctrine known as fair use. No, the reason why we will never be able to listen to recordings as part of this online education thing is purely because of the expediency of the algorithm, the content ID algorithm that companies use in order to flag content. This content ID algorithm will listen to recordings and YouTube videos and match them with rights holders and give those rights holders, like the Universal Music Group, the ability to take down videos that the content ID system deems in violation of US copyright law. There's so many problems with this. The first thing is that the content ID algorithm is fairly stupid. It gave credit of one of the recordings in the Rick Beato video to John Coltrane when in fact it was a Miles Davis recording of a Sonny Rollins song, so it can't even match things correctly. But more importantly, it gives no recourse to us, the online music educators, in order to give us the ability to claim fair use. Fair use is complicated, and copyright law is complicated. So complicated that, in fact, in the 19th century case that determined fair use, Folsom versus Marsh, the judge that ruled in the case called copyright law the metaphysics of law, because of how evanescent it all was. This was in the 19th century, by the way, not the 21st century, where copyright law is so much more complicated and used on a daily basis. Unfortunately for us, these legal decisions are essentially handed over to an algorithm for expediency's sake. The end result of this is that online music education is not as good as it could be. I could be playing recordings for you guys all the time from famous jazz musicians or other musicians, quite frankly, and I could explain to you what they're doing in their solos and how they're putting together their musical compositions. I could come up with all sorts of theoretical explanations for all of that, but I really cannot. And Content ID is not the only culprit here. In fact, Content ID doesn't actually take down videos or demonetize videos. It just gives certain rights holders the ability to do that. And there is one rights holder which has consistently flagged my videos and Rick's videos and everybody's videos, and that is Universal. and pitch shift them up and down so the Content ID algorithm does not detect them. Because as soon as they're detected, Universal Music Group dings my videos and I'm not able to upload them. I've also had videos manually demonetized, like my All-Star But It's the Rite of Spring video, which means that somebody at Universal Music Group decided that they owned the monetization. Now, the worst thing in all of this is that when you go to appeal a demonetization or a takedown, who is the arbiter of whether or not something is fair use? Is it YouTube? No. It's Universal Music Group. I have to appeal to Universal Music Group to decide whether or not something's fair use, and of course they're going to say no, so all of my appeals have been rejected. I really don't care a whole lot about something being demonetized, although there is something that leaves kind of a sour taste in my mouth about the Universal Music Group making money off of my All-Star But It's the Rite of Spring video. But I do care when things get taken down, because I cannot do my job as a music teacher to the best of my ability. I cannot give you the experience that my bass teacher did in high school as he walked me through these famous recordings. I would love the ability to walk you guys through recordings and break them down and give you my analysis of what these people are doing, but I can't. It's like trying to give an analysis of a famous painting without looking at the actual painting. What's even more frustrating is I don't really have much recourse. I'm just one person, and I don't have a legal team behind me the same way that Universal Music Group does. And Universal Music Group knows this, and they can abuse the system and take down things that they clearly know are fair use for purposes of education, because they know that they can do it with Content ID and other tools that YouTube gives them. This is definitely not a YouTube adpocalypse rant, by the way, because I've had videos demonetized for being not suitable for advertisers, for videos that were literally sponsored by advertisers before. It's just a ridiculous system that YouTube has going on. But this is a little bit more fundamental and makes me a little bit upset because I want to be able to do things that I cannot do in the current system, and Rick Beato can't do, and none of the music theory teachers can do. We can only give a pale facsimile of the experience.
Well, I woke up this morning and what did my eyes see? A day of opportunity staring back at me. There's plenty YouTube channels gonna upload today, and that means money, 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 gonna take it all away. Time to browse my favorite creators on YouTube. Let's see who I can steal from today. My job here is simple, but it takes some dedication. After all, there's so much to go through. There's way too many people here just trying to make a living. So let's get to work and see who we can screw. We are UMG and we are trying to make a buck, cause we don't already have enough to spare. If you even think about our music, we don't give a fuck. We'll take your money and live without a care. Just ask our friend Gus Johnson, he knows the song too well. He talked about Bohemian Rhapsody. There wasn't even music in that video to tell, but we claimed that shit and made his cash for free.
Hey Chad. Hey Brad. I just got 15 million views worth of revenue from this dude's video. Sweet! How much of the video was claimable? 0.8 of a second. Nice!
Not Leon Lush nor Mini Lad or even Mr. Beast can slide a split second under our nose. We manually search your channel for anything we feel might give us grounds to claim your videos.
Or they won't. We don't really care.
We are UMG and we are trying to make a buck, cause we don't already have enough to spare. If you even think about our music, we don't give a fuck. We'll take your money and live without a care.
Hey guys, so we've been having some complaints from some creators, large and small, who seem to think that you might be claiming a bunch of videos that you don't really have the grounds to claim. I know it's stupid. Get the fuck out! Right, okay, no problem.
We teamed up with YouTube to remaster all the classics when absolutely no one asked. They just won't do shit even if we abuse the system, cause if they piss us off, that'd be their ass. We are UMG and we are trying to make a buck, cause we don't already have enough to spare. If you even think about our music, we don't give a fuck. We'll take your money and live without a care. We are UMG and we are trying to make a buck, cause we don't already have enough to spare. If you even think about our music, we don't give a fuck. We'll take your money and live without a care.
This is acclaimed for Universal Music. Hey everybody, today is July 17th, 2020. This was a really loud, obnoxious intro. I'm sorry. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. Let's get you guys caught up. If I look extra tired, it's because I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima for like however long, 12 hours straight. I stopped only to make this video. The Before You Buy is coming tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you're watching on Friday, it'll be up on Saturday. Anyway, let's jump into the news. Pretty exciting, actually. We got our first actual look at Far Cry 6 through screenshots, the old-fashioned way. Remember when all we had was screenshots? So, I'm surprised they didn't put these out earlier because this looks pretty impressive. It also looks very much like it's going back to more of like the simpler vibe. This gives me Far Cry 2 vibes, if that makes any sense. But this is clearly like some sort of next generation or high-end PC screenshot. You can really kind of see some open world stuff going on. The draw distance does look impressive. From what we've seen with like pre-order bonuses and stuff, it does seem like they're emphasizing kind of crazier weapons and some of that goofier Far Cry vibe. But I just like seeing this here. Also, the shot of the city, for some reason, I don't know why, I initially thought it looked like Cyberpunk, which is definitely not what the game is going for at all. But this comes hot off the heels of Ubisoft revealing both this with a cinematic trailer, also Watch Dogs Legion gameplay and AC Valhalla gameplay. We talked about this briefly last week, but the screenshots I thought were worth highlighting because now we can actually at least kind of see what the game is. Spoiler alert, it's Far Cry. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, but I do want to jump right to the next story because this is crazy. I love stuff like this. So, Flight Simulator is dropping soon. Microsoft's next big update on like the legendary simulator franchise. We've talked about it before. It's got like these insane graphics. It has like scans of basically the entire world and all these real-time lighting and weather effects. But the news is that there is a physical edition coming out, specifically I believe for Europe. And that sucker comes on 10 discs. That is 10 double-layer DVDs.
Job number 3, set me free. Man, I love making money.
Hey man, you need to love loosening the grip on my arm, man, because I can't feel my tentacles, man.
Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. Listen, I'll do anything you ask me right now, because when you get in there, it's just a man for himself. Oh, did I laugh out loud? I'm supposed to say it.
You think that's funny, huh? Huh? With your fish stick without the battle looking. Wait a minute. Man, how many jobs you got?
Listen, that should be the least thing that's on your mind. What's on your mind? You so damn behind. I did it again, you so damn funny. Man, I need to go ahead and do comedy after this thing.
Oh! Hey, dude over here getting so up, thinking this fish fried.
It's gonna be alright. That happens every day. Just keep walking, sir. You'll get used to it.
Alright, sir. Drop him. Now, this is only going to be fun for one of us. And that person is Bob. He's recording.
Drop him. Drop what? Y'all took everything from me before I got in here. I ain't got nothing to drop.
You got those drawers. Drop those drawers and spread them.
You want me to do what?
You're gonna have to spread that tail fin. Oh, hush now, don't you cry. Everything's gonna be alright. Be alright. Be alright. Be alright.
Ray, I'ma kill you, man.
Alright. Yourself.
This is the day Jesus has made. Rejoice. Rejoice.
Well, I see you a brother of God. I mean, we gonna be cool, right?
I hope so. This is prison. Just kidding. Hi, I'm Marlon, your new roommate. We're gonna have a lot of fun together.
Hey, bro, first of all, this ain't cozy, this ain't no house. Don't call yourself my roommate. You my cellmate. I'm in jail.
I'm sorry. However you want to look at it, but I look at the glass half full.
Look, man, I don't know about no glass and no fool and none of that. I just know you better stay on your side, and I'm gonna stay on my side. Comprendísimo?
I don't understand that language, but you don't have to know what the glass is. However, you might know what full is soon. Plus, there aren't sides. This is a bunk bed, and I have the top. I'm always on top.
Hey, I don't like how your references could be understood as sexual references. I'm not clear of that, so I'm gonna just get on the bottom
Bunk. And you stay on the top. Bunk. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. In about 24 hours, you're gonna understand sexual references. Because you're gonna see two grown male fish, and that's normal here.
Yeah. You know what? Let me start over. Let me introduce myself. I'm Tut.
What are you in for?
What I'm in here for? Man, it's gonna make me mad just thinking about it again. But I tell you, I don't tell anybody, I tell you. Look, so me and my homeboy, well, I ain't gonna call him my homeboy because he a snitch fish. He a traitor, he a tuna.
Oh, I know about those. I was in a fish gang. The Fish Crips.
Man, but yeah. We was on that type of shit, on some gangster shit. So we went in this store, bought some invisible spray. Dude tried to offer us some knuckle grease or some nipple hair. I'm like, we ain't even got nipples. What are you talking about?
Oh, so you're in here for possession of drugs. Well, I'm sorry. I have an uncle that did crack, so I understand. It will get better. I can assure you.
No, man, look, you gotta believe me, bro. I remember it. We sprayed ourselves with the invisible spray, and then we got to arguing, and then we was just swinging.
Oh, okay, yeah. And my uncle thinks he's a tall glass of orange juice. So when he walks very slow so he doesn't spill.
Look, man, you think I'm playing and stuff, but this real gangster fish right here, man. So I pull up with the yapper, and I'm dumping at the log. I'm like, and Ray gonna walk out. Tell me, he white. He got white fish privileges. They said let him go. Now I'm in jail. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, that's real crazy. We had to put my uncle down last week.
Anyway, what you in here for, bro?
At the wrong place at the wrong time. With the wrong knife. With the wrong girl. With the wrong dead body. With the wrong truck. With the wrong hole. With the wrong shovel.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of wrongs, but I'm pretty sure you ain't do that. I'm getting a little sleepy, so I'm about to go to sleep.
Oh, my favorite time. Sleep. It's always good to get 8 hours.
Yeah. Good night, bro.
Meow, 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 meow. No.
What was that noise? You know what? Black and me don't want to go see what that noise is, so I'm gonna just turn back over. Act like I ain't hear nothing.
You're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, let me just go. Man, this is my first night in here. Okay, I'm gonna just peek real quick. It's probably nothing. It's probably like a rat or something. Okay.
George!
Oh! Oh man. You know what? I'm gonna just turn the other fan on this one. I'm taking my black ass back to sleep.
Alright, here's your potatoes. And make sure you get your protein. It goes right to that fin. Looking good, Mark. Alright, who's next?
Hey, bro. Did somebody like break in our cell last night or something? Cause I could have sworn I heard somebody in there like screaming at themselves and punching the wall.